What do you do when you need to sharpen your knife? Do you just table the dull knife and buy a new one? Or maybe you send your knife off for sharpening for somebody else to do it. Or maybe you sharpen your own knives. If you sharpen your own knives, chances are you've heard of WorkSharp. It's no secret, WorkSharp makes my favorite sharpeners. They also make some of the easiest to use and most affordable sharpeners that are out there. But WorkSharp may not be who you think they are. So we headed up to Ashland, Oregon, to WorkSharp's HQ to get some answers. For example, did you know that WorkSharp is a multi-generational company owned by a family of mad scientists?
Great Scott!
That kind of had its start in 1954 when great-granddaddy WorkSharp, aka Arthur Bernard, invented flux core arc welding.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
Which, for you non-welders, means he literally invented modern welding. Over the course of the next 3 generations, the Bernard family invents and innovates in industrial and prosumer tool sharpening with a company named Derrick's, and then a little invention called the Drill Doctor. And then in 2007, with the same spirit of innovation and invention, WorkSharp is born. Kind of. The first WorkSharp product was actually a chisel sharpener. And then in 2010, the first WorkSharp knife sharpener is born from the brain of knife nut and mad scientist Dan.
So my thought was, when we thought about getting into, trying to sharpen knives, let's sharpen the stuff that no one else can do very well, especially under power. That's just not something that was done very well under power. Been a Onion fan since his early days, and his knives early on were some pretty curvy stuff, big recurves, a ton of belly, and some of that stuff is difficult to impossible to sharpen in, say, a wide flat bench stone without just using the corner of the stone. I designed a bunch of prototypes in that, and the narrow belt concept, a slack belt, unsupported belt, under 3/4 inch. I can get access to all these geometries that just other designs struggle with. I basically came up with a concept and said, okay, this is a thing. And we think, again, we got to think, it doesn't look like any knife sharpener that's ever been made before. It's belts, which is how we know how knives are made. I've been making knives on belts off and on for years, just sitting in my garage tinkering. Obviously, belts will be intuitive to those who make knives. Will people who sharpen knives get the idea? After a while, we played with it, did a little tiny launch of a product, put a few out there, and nervous with the market thing, because at the time, knife sharpeners looked like a loaf of bread with 2 slots in it. This hits the market. I was watching this forum, reading on one of the knife forums, and it's kind of getting flamed in the first page of stuff, going, hey, that's going to cause this, or that's going to cause problems.
It's going to heat the blade up too much. It's going to eat too much material, right? Yeah.
And by second page of that forum, I look in there, Ken Onion chimes in and goes, hey, this is the best, Ken's bragging on my sharpener, and I was just like, best, and I literally, no question, ran through the factory, big smile on my face, bragging to everyone, hey, Ken Onion. And most people are like, who's Ken Onion? But
that's awesome.
Because we weren't a knife company then.
Yeah.
But we're like, it's Ken Onion loves my sharpener. It was like, and so it took a while to connect, but we've been friends ever since.
The fact that Ken Onion, inventor of the assisted knife and a mad scientist in his own right, was able to immediately recognize how good that first power sharpener was is a huge testament to WorkSharp's process and quality. To make something that's never been made takes a ton of testing and a ton of failure, because you're paving roads in uncharted wilderness.
Kind of my design philosophy, we don't learn from designing and testing things that we know or believe works. We learn from designing and testing things that don't work. First to fail is what we shoot for. We try and get basically to that early fails fast, and we learn from everyone. Everyone has an opportunity to learn and make something. And quite frankly, a lot of the big aha moments have always been, hey, it turns out that thing works.
Right.
What we thought didn't work works, and it works way better than what we had planned.
Yeah.
So those things are super valuable. It's thousands of hours. That's how Jake started here. My daughter did the same. A lot of people in this company started back in our lab, literally just grinding steel.
Yeah.
And testing abrasives. The original 3-belt recipe that's in the knife and tool sharpener has at least 2,000 to 3,000 hours of just hands-on grinding, just me sitting there grinding. And there was a lot of other people doing that. That
was something that you guys did do, is you'd have temp workers, right, come in and just go 300 hours or whatever on a sharpener.
And we still do that.
Oh, okay.
There is benefit to that. In development process, there'll be engineers doing testing all the time, obviously.
Of course.
But then they like to have people that have never seen it and don't know what knife sharpening is to it.
You guys do have some automation here, right? Like how we would traditionally think about automation, like robotic automation. So you've got the arm in the cage. For what I understand, it's named Monica.
It is Monica.
Yeah, Monica. Now I don't know why it's named that, but in my mind, all I'm seeing is the Fast and the Furious.
Oh, it's Fast and Furious.
Oh, yes.
Ja Rule.
Perfect. Yes, perfect.
Robot's really good for standardized tests, like
Yeah.
benchmark things that you don't want human interaction in, because it's going to do the exact same thing over and over again.
Right.
And it's also used a bunch for regular QC as parts change over time. So like you could test bearings on there, you could test a new motor manufacturer, you could test anything like that. And then we know it's apples to apples testing. And that's the best use for a robot. We have a process called FA process, first article. When you're developing a product initially, each piece of that is going to come in and get tested. We have standard operating procedures of testing screws or springs or whatever.
Right.
And it has to pass all those. And then it has to pass the requirements based on the drawing. And then as that gets further into the development stage, when there may be parts together already, or we're putting parts together, then we do FAs for that also.
Oh, okay, interesting. So you're talking like with a new product, you're even like the screws.
Every
like
screw, every spring.
Every single everything
Yep.
is going through that to make a final sign off to say, okay, send us 10,000 units. We were talking earlier and you were basically saying you make stuff to make stuff. Yeah.
That's the job.
That's the job, make stuff to make stuff. Well, I have to say, it is really incredible being out on the line and seeing how just customized the tooling is that you guys do. There is kind of like a satellite workshop shop, right, in Vietnam, I believe, right?
Yep.
Do you ever go out there and like help with tooling and stuff out there as well?
So sometimes I like the same job I do here, I've helped them set up their setup there.
Cool.
Which is wild to see I feel like we've progressed so far.
Yeah.
They progress, 10 times every day, because they started at,
At nothing, basically, right?
He had a mini mill and an angle grinder.
Oh, jeez.
And then when we've set them up over time to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we send tools over there too that we built here.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we'll make two exactly the same.
And that's
so then
something
the parts can't get.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just exactly the same because the parts are the same, right? That they're working with. And I think that's something that's really neat is it's not like Workshop's just having something made and then throwing a sticker on it, right? Like the shop in Vietnam, that's Workshop. It's a Workshop shop.
They're our employees. Yeah.
After having spent time with the people at Workshop, it's easy to say that their secret weapon is their employees. The mad scientist spirit that sets Workshop apart seems to have infected everyone working there. And it doesn't matter if you're on the cutting edge of development like Dan or brand new to the company working on the assembly line, your experience and feedback goes into new ideas, R&D, and even production. There's no pretense of rah-rah, feel-good, fake corporate pandering, but a real sense of engagement and unity.
I think what a lot of people probably don't realize is that even here on the floor, which is already such an important part of what Workshop does, but on top of that, what the consumer sees, right, what the customer uses, that's even influenced here.
They come out and ask, how's it working? What could be better? And we've gotten some feedback from our production coworkers that, just get their minds, get the engineer's mind going. And that was something that I think my second month in, I was part of the honing rod, part of the kitchen lineup, and part of that prototype. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know sharpening. I wrote down my notes, and maybe it was useful, maybe it wasn't, but it was coming from somebody who's never sharpened before. We've done that with some of the people out in production, and they just have that sense of, wow, like maybe they did take what they mentioned in that feedback session. We're more the hands-on, getting it done, the product piece of it, but I think there's a sense of ownership in that, of being part of a team as a whole versus just production and getting something in a box.
The ownership at Workshop does not stop at the door. Every product that goes out is backed by a no-hassle warranty, but more importantly, every customer is included in the innovations of bringing great sharpening to the masses. The new Pro Precision Adjust Sharpener is a perfect example of that very process.
It's a bit of a challenge to get all those feedbacks considered in one platform. But the customer also made it easy in the regard that it basically told us exactly what they wanted. So there wasn't like on the front end what he was doing in 2007 or 2008 or whatever, there was a lot of guessing of like, is there a market for this? Does this even make sense for us to do? And then move forward to where I am today, and we're in like, I'm literally just listening to what people want and trying to do it as best as I can and kind of develop this platform that's flexible enough that you can do little knives, you can do big knives. There's so much investment in the company and the people to do what is right and what you enjoy doing. Like you said, the openness, just an ability to like try something knowing that it's probably not going to work, but like the acceptance of being able to do that is kind of my favorite part. I literally got hired here as like his helper straight out of high school, so I literally don't have another, like I've never had another job experience. And I want to talk to people around here who've had previous jobs and how much they love Workshop for what it does well. It's like, I don't have a desire to ever leave because I don't want to go face the problems that I've heard about other people facing. So it's like, I'm spoiled.
It's fun to work with this many good people.
It's no secret that WorkSharp makes some of the most incredible sharpeners out there, and it has been an absolute blast to go around and see just how much thought and care anything that you're getting from WorkSharp gets. I mean, all the way from the mad scientist genius that are inventing this stuff and creating this stuff and testing this stuff to the super important job of assembly and packaging and shipping stuff out. So to everybody at WorkSharp, thank you so much. I hope you guys dug this. We'll catch you on the next one.